After careful deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict. They found Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts. Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works. And it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict.
It's a disgrace to the New York state and city court system, and all of the cases are, frankly, all of them.
Was it just me, or did everyone miss this story?
Walter Pyatt and General Charles Flynn were on the call. Subsequently, Flynn denies he was even involved in the call. For what reason, I really don't know. He did so under oath, and Commander Sergeant Major Brooks, myself, and Lieutenant Nick were all interviewed by the Select Committee. We told them that. To me, this is material because Flynn denied under oath twice to the House Oversight Committee and to the Select Committee that he was even participated in the call. That goes to his integrity, to his credibility.
When people here ask me what the heck is going on in your country, I am ashamed.
I'm here today because two senior general officers of the United States Army, General Charles A. Flynn and Lieutenant General Walter E. Pyatt, have acted contrary to those values.
And I think this needs to be called out, Mr. Chairman, because the hypocrisy is screaming and the American people watch it every single day.
I want to talk about General Flynn and how he should go to jail.
He was on a call with General Walker, and he told him to move the QRF to the Armory. I mean, that did not happen. Ryan McCarthy didn't speak on that call, and we know this because that call was on a conference bridge. It was a D.C. government conference bridge. Now, the DOD IG incorrectly states that McCarthy requested the call. I helped facilitate that call. General Walker was on a call with Dr. Rodriguez, who was the Homeland Security Advisor for Mayor Bowser. Mayor Bowser was on a call. Chief Son was on a call. Chief Conte was on a call. All of us at this dais were all on a call. Ryan McCarthy never spoke on that call. I'm a person who was his friend who knew his voice quite well. If he had said anything, I would say that. We were told he was unavailable. I called his executive officer to ask to speak to him, and we were told he was unavailable.
This is the most outrageous travesty I've ever seen.
Generals Pyatt and Flynn have lied to Congress, to federal investigators, and to the American people about why it took so long for the District of Columbia National Guard to deploy to the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021.
I'll recognize Command Sergeant Major Michael Brooks for 5 minutes.
Good morning, Chairman Loudermilk, Ranking Member Torres, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I am Command Sergeant Major retired Michael F. Brooks. I am the former Command Senior Enlisted Leader of the District of Columbia National Guard, the Capitol Guardians. I retired on March 1st of 2023 with 29 years of active federal service in the Army and the Army National Guard. While I am no longer in service, I continue defense of our great nation as a compliance and investigation specialist with the Compliance and Adjudication Division of the Office of Information and Communications Technology and Services.
Hey, James Comer, you coward. How about you subpoena Judge Merchant and his daughter? Get to the bottom of this sham trial.
I want to point out.
Yes, sir.
I spoke to the Select Committee. I was not under oath, but it doesn't matter because you don't have to be under oath. If you lie to Congress, it's still a federal crime.
Yes,
and I'm fully aware of that. And I submitted a document stating that these men were liars, and I stand by it 100%. And it's the stand on my Army that they got away with it, and no one said anything about it. And they even sent Pyatt's name to the President of the United States to have him promoted. He was a liar. And all of us can attest to that.
The reality is, they intentionally held up the National Guard's response to the Capitol for hours.
Their distortions contributed to a deeply and fundamentally flawed Department of Defense Inspector General investigation and to deficiencies in other official inquiries. On January 6, 2021, I was on duty and present during numerous conversations, video conferences, and phone calls leading up to, during, and after the riot, which was engulfing. When I say these general officers lied, I do not do so lightly or cavalierly. I speak from personal knowledge, having interacted with them on January the 6th in my official military capacity.
I served as the Command Senior Enlisted Leader of the DC National Guard from December 2017 to December of 2022. As the most senior non-commissioned officer in the organization, I reported directly to Commanding General, and from 2017 until his retirement and selection as the 38th Sergeant at Arms for the House of Representatives, my commander was Major General William J. Walker. As his senior enlisted advisor, I reported only to him, and I was with him throughout the days before, the day of, and the subsequent weeks and months that followed the events of January 6, 2021. So imagine my surprise when the DODIG released their report without once interviewing myself or other critically significant DC National Guard members with firsthand knowledge of what occurred that fateful day. Not anonymous witnesses or anonymous officials, but senior-ranking military members that were in the room, standing that led to the significant delays in the military response on January 6th.
Biden shamefully is fundraising off of the political persecution of his opponent. That tells you everything you need to know about this current regime that is in power. So go to DonaldJTrump.com, support President Trump, stand on the side of democracy.
They claim they were on calls that they were not.
So General Flynn testified before the House Oversight Committee on June 15, 2021. During his opening statement and during his questioning, he stated explicitly that he was not on that phone call. He made no statements on that call. Subsequently, he was interviewed by the January 6th committee, and he also stated, he was directly asked by the Senior Investigative Counsel, did you make any statements on that call? He says he did not. He was not on the call, he says. Now, that is perjury in my opinion. Unfortunately, some senior officials within the Department of the Army and the Department of Defense have sought to protect or to promote Generals Flynn and Pyatt. These senior civilian officials have excused, condoned, or overlooked the misconduct of these officers.
Unbelievable, unfreaking believable. We the people stand with Donald Trump.
It's General Flynn and General Pyatt. Both of them put in place by the White House, specifically lied and said they gave orders that they did not give.
They were trained, they were prepared, and they were ready to respond.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And the truth is, we were there and we were ready. We just weren't authorized to respond, and that is difficult to explain.
Brigadier General Dean, according to his testimony to the DOD, Secretary McCarthy told to General Walker to, quote, posture his troops and, quote, get ready to go on the 2:30 call. Is that accurate?
That is not accurate.
Okay.
There was no mention. Well, first of all, Secretary McCarthy wasn't even on the call. I'll say this. He wasn't identified on the call, nor did he speak on the call.
As a former acting general counsel of the Department of the Army and its chief legal officer, I take these matters seriously, even if others don't.
Sham trial.
They also lied and said they were not on the call where they said, well, I don't like the optics. Oh, I don't like the optics either. It's really about optics. I think we need to, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's spend hours and hours and hours replacing all the DC cops around the city with National Guard, and then those guys can go take care of it.
During a conference call at 2:31 p.m. with members of United States Army, U.S. Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, District of Columbia Government, and U.S. Secret Service Uniform Division, the U.S. Army's Lieutenant General Walter Pyatt, Director of Army Staff, and the Army's Lieutenant General Charles Flynn, Director of Chief of Staff of Operations, were on the call. Also was Colonel John Lubis, Executive Officer to the Secretary of the Army. The Army falsely denied that General Flynn was ever on the call. This is false and material on its face. Lieutenant Flynn was on the call and even participated in discussions. The Defense Inspector's review also rounds language papering over the fact that Lieutenant General Pyatt and Lieutenant General Flynn, while on the call, discussed how they did not like the optics. That is a direct quote. And they stated it would be in their best military advice to recommend to the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, to deny the request from Command General William Walker to deploy the D.C. National Guard and aid U.S. Capitol Police in restoration of order, liberty on Capitol Hill.
This is a shameful political stunt perpetrated by Joe Biden.
Because I don't like the optics. Optics. That's code for we work for Donald Trump. It's not even code. It's just a fuck you to the National Guard.
In addition, former Secretary of the Army Ryan McCarthy claims he was on a 2:31 p.m. call and spoke on that call. This is false, unless he was in the room shadowing the call and he did not speak nor identify himself. He was not on the call. He was en route to Washington, D.C. Regional Office at the Federal Bureau of Investigation to support that agency's concept of operations plan for January 6th. He went on to claim that he called and spoke to Major General Walker at least twice, ordering the deployment of the D.C. National Guard. This is also false. At no time did General Walker take any calls, nor did we ever hear from the Secretary on any of the ongoing conference calls or the secure video teleconferencing throughout the day. This I know because I was with the Command General the entire time recording events. Throughout the day, Major General Walker told by staff officers to stand by with respect to deploying to the Capitol Hill. Only at 5:09 p.m. in the early evening, which I wrote down in my wheel book, was the D.C. Guard given order to deploy and move to the Capitol to assist Capitol Police.
This will be reversed on appeal. We're doing a special podcast tonight to break it all down.
These guys are a few blocks from the Capitol for a reason. Rapid deployment.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who talked about a so-called Reichstag moment.
He arrived too late. One American lay dead with other sisters and brothers injured, including federal and local law enforcement officers. We were ready and standing by. I know if we were able to deploy immediately when General Walker made the request, the National Guard could have helped end civil disturbance and restored public order quickly.
Quote, Lieutenant General Pyatt and Lieutenant General Flynn, while on the call, discussed how they did not like the optics.
Well, the optics are bad. Hey, I hear that. It's not like a riot would look bad or somebody getting shot in the neck would look bad. But this would look bad. The Americans being the weakest country in the world, we can't even keep track of our own capital.
They stated it would be in their best military advice to recommend to the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, to deny the request from Command General William Walker to deploy the D.C. National Guard and aid the United States Capitol Police in the restoration of ordered liberty, or as some called on this committee, democracy, on Capitol Hill.
This led to a crisis in federal leadership at the Pentagon and delayed the D.C. response by 3 hours and 19 minutes.
It was very frustrating to know that we had the capability and the personnel and unable to respond.
Thank you.
This was on purpose. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is right.
Today, right now, Peter Navarro is sitting in jail because he was held in contempt of Congress. And also, Steve Bannon has been held in contempt of Congress and could go to jail soon. Those are the consequences, and the consequences are people have gone to jail and they may soon go to jail. And tonight we're here to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. And this committee needs to be able to proceed forward to do that.
If Congress wants you to testify, you have to testify. Now, of course, Merrick Garland's testified many times, testified this week, testified a couple weeks ago. But these guys straight up lied.
And I think this needs to be called out, Mr. Chairman, because the hypocrisy is screaming and the American people watch it every single day. And I will not apologize for my words, and I will not change them. And I will not tolerate being treated this way constantly.
Only really talk about the District of Columbia National Guard and its preparation, especially around January 6th. We match capability with request. So if there's a request, we match the capability that we have, and we had riot control capability on that day to provide services for the Capitol. Columbia National Guard is always ready to respond.
Thank you, sir.
And was ready even before that date.
You go to jail for lying against Congress.
Major Brooks, during the bipartisan transcribed interview the subcommittee conducted in March 2024, you were asked if you recall hearing the word optics on your 2:30 p.m. phone call. You responded, yes, and I quote, General Flynn and General Piat both made numerous comments about the optics of having the Guard on the Capitol and how they would much prefer that the Guard relieve MPD officers elsewhere in the city so that they could respond to the Capitol, close quote.
Everybody says that this is what happened.
For everyone, and we'll start with Command Sergeant Major Brooks. Why would these military experts want to send the National Guard to relieve MPD officers elsewhere after the Capitol was breached at 2:12 p.m.?
In my opinion, it was a senseless recommendation. The logistics and the amount of time it would have taken to replace individual MPD officers across the city would have taken way too much time, and it would have been further delayed.
I think the key term there is senseless. Colonel.
So their whole attitude was that this mission was for law enforcement. They never wanted DC Guard to be in the streets in the first place. They didn't ever want to approve the 350. They thought this was a law enforcement mission. They believed it would have required 100,000 demonstrators before the DC Guard was necessary. And that was the Army's thinking.
The colonel is the top lawyer. The top lawyer for the National Guard. Heck, he used to be the top lawyer for the Army. Meets all the criteria. Even went to Harvard.
So they wanted, and they also said they wanted no involvement in the politicization of the, or no involvement in the electoral certification process. No, they wanted no DOD role there. So that was their attitude. So we were not allowed to be east of 9th Street, so which is where the Capitol is. We're not, you know, we had to have the Secretary of the Army's approval to move 3 unarmed guardsmen in 1 block.
Right.
And he says they're lying. And it's easily provable.
So it sounds like baseless decisions. Brigadier General.
So I did hear the word optics, and they did use it, especially, specifically, General Piat, I know, said optics. And his concern was he did not want soldiers or airmen on the Capitol grounds with the Capitol in the background. And so they were giving every other reason why we should be around the Capitol, away from the Capitol, and not responding to the Capitol.
But if they are lying, then they're part of the conspiracy. And I know you clicked on this thing, please like and subscribe, thinking it was going to be the other General Flynn. But this is General Flynn's brother.
Captain.
I did hear the word optics also, and General Piat and General Flynn did say it wasn't in their best military advice to recommend to the Secretary at this time to approve that request.
The reality is that we've got these people dead to rights. It was a coup, and it went up to the highest echelons at the Pentagon.
And I only have 30 seconds, but I would just like to go down the line once again and answer this question. Was it clear at the time that the #1 priority was to restore order or to protect the safety of members of Congress, staff, or visitors here at the Capitol complex? Captain.
It was clear that we needed to be at the Capitol at that time.
Right, you needed to be, but was that their #1 priority?
No, it was not.
Brigadier General.
Their #1 priority was to make the police respond and not the National Guard.
Colonel.
Absolutely not, Congressman.
It was not their priority, sir.
Thank you. I think it's clear.
Literally a bunch of guys that Trump had just put in place. Because that's what you do when you do a coup. Zachariah, Lone Star Liberals. Drop it easy. Hey, please like and subscribe. And share this video. Share this video. The algorithm goes ballistic when you share a video. Well, share it with somebody who will watch it. If you share it and they don't watch it, the algorithm does nothing. But if you share it and they actually watch it, the algorithm gets all, jittery and stuff. If you like it and then you share it, and they watch it, and they like it, well, and the algorithm's done. Oh my goodness. Makes me want to smoke a cigarette. Y'all have a good day.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't negotiate, let's investigate, we'll accelerate, annotate.